step closer, one step closer. So I'll just double check all that, make sure that's all working properly. G'day, Ken. How are you? Hope you're fantastic. So let me just get this off and racing in the background. That is perfect. Double check all that, make sure that's all working properly. G'day, Ken. How are you? Hope you're fantastic. Share across here. Let me turn on some surround sound. We should be good to go. I think we should be good to go. Just getting all this technology sorted and similar things. I trust our YouTubers will come online perfectly, come online any second. So as we are off and racing. We are off and racing. So guys and girls, welcome. We are in for a very, very interesting little day in the markets today. Very interesting, I think, is the understatement of the year. Let me grab that chat log. I hope everybody is very, very well. It's very, very well. Jess, how are you? Ken, g'day. Jürgen, how are you? Steve, how are you? Tio, how are you? I hope you are all fantastic. I hope you're all fantastic. Now, we'll get a wriggle on as people log into the LTR, as we do have a fair bit. We do have a fair bit to go through today, simply because the markets are so quiet. Simply because they're so quiet, as they're highly likely, they are highly likely to move. Dare I say it, guys? At this point in time, we're probably going to bounce between the Asian low and the Asian high. Now, if we do threaten either of those, and they turn around and come back the other way, then I think that's going to be really good fun. So, hello, Western Australia. How are you? Cam, how are you? I hope you're fantastic. So, guys, we'll start down the bottom. I start bottom, biggest market in the world, bar none. We'll start with the S&P 500. Okay, down the bottom here. What I want to keep a very close eye on, very, very close eye on today for the S&P 500 guys, or the US-based traders, will be the Asian high and the Asian low. As you can see how constrained the trading has basically been since Asia started today. Now, the reason it's so constrained, as we are Wednesday, there is no European news today. There's also no US news. Just hold on one sec. Right, so no US or European news. Guys, there's ultimately nothing driving the markets. Our volume at this point in time, our volume is sitting at 28,000. It was 28,000. So yesterday when we hit this mark, we were sitting at around 60,000. There was a lot more enthusiasm in the market yesterday. I made it very, very easy to trade, provided that we were super careful, which we were, and trading obviously yesterday went very, very well. So a couple of things, guys. First things first, for those that trade, the Singapore close, you picked up an absolutely beautiful static bar reversal. Guys, I'm targeting this one right here. As if you do trade the Singapore close leading into the European Open, you've picked up an absolutely perfect, mathematically amazing. Guys, static bar reversal down the bottom there, right off the Asian low. They've tried to push down through the Asian low for 25 minutes, guys, failed multiple times. As if you're a fan of lower lows and higher highs, okay, literally immediately after your SBR, there is your lower low, giving you permission to enter when all the criteria are met. And guess what? It's gone really, really lovely. Now, in saying that, guys, where are they probably going to go? Again, because we've failed at the Asian low, they're probably going to go back to the Asian high. Now, that will obviously be influenced by Europe. And we'll do Europe in a second. I do want to highlight, if I can, for both the S&P and also NASDAQ traders today. Yesterday's high is a daily static bar reversal long. Right? So yesterday's high, just to confuse the picture, is hiding just here. Okay, so that at this point in time, as that candle on the S&P 500 that's just closed has basically just closed back inside a daily SBR long. Now, the reason being is stair stepping is obviously down on both American daily charts. So therefore, excuse me, guys, therefore we are probably looking, as if we close and hold above yesterday's high, we're probably looking at a slow kind of grind up towards the Asian high. If we get caught, guys, at yesterday's high, so from the European Open, we open underneath that point, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys sell back down again. Okay, now speaking of selling back down again, I've just got to be a little bit careful what Europe does. The reason being was I'm just going to put Little circle on that SBR. If these guys were to sell down, guys get caught at the Fibonacci, even shoot down a little bit lower, then get caught and turn around and come back the other way, then S&P traders, I want you to keep an eye on the yellow circle at the bottom and the yellow circle at the top. There are mathematically amazing static bar reversals on both sides of the market today, guys. So hence, we could fancy that, we could let the maths do all of the heavy lifting for us, guys, which is obviously what we do. Now, with all of that said, guys, little comment down the bottom here for the S&P 500 traders is that if they do not break or hold the Asia's low, guys, look for a run back to the other way, particularly if Europe buys, right? Particularly if Europe buys this session. As being European Open is always hypersensitive to what the Europeans do. Yesterday, the Europeans are obviously very, very predictable, right? So they basically went straight through the Fibonacci levels that we spoke about. Now, something to be very wary of, guys, very wary of as we come in, guys, a comparison to yesterday, if I may. Diane, how are you? Hope you're fantastic. That being said, volatility yesterday, guys, was in the early 60s when we started. Now it's in the late 20s. So we have got a low volume, low volatility start, guys. Now they will be highly susceptible, as in the US markets are going to be susceptible to Europe, particularly the FESX. With all of, slowly getting better, Diane, slowly getting better. There is no question about that. There's a bit of a stink, guys, going on today about the Federal Reserve. A bit of a stink going on about the Federal Reserve. I'll touch on that shortly. That's probably one of the things that's driving this sort of very, very sideways, so it's very, very sideways market. Okay, now for the NASDAQ traders, guys, a little bit of a stretch over here on the left-hand side. Okay, so there's our Asian low defined for us there. Absolutely perfect. Okay, in fact, Asia's low, technically, let me just, guys, now I'm putting a little circle, guys, on that tiny little red SBR over there on the left-hand side for the NASDAQ traders. Asian low, guys, is technically here. Now, what does it mean? If NASDAQ, similar to the S&P, if it pushes back down toward the Asian low, kinds of fakes out at the Asian low, we could find that, if I borrow that arrow, Asia pushes down, could get caught on these Fibonacci's here. As if it does, it's going to turn around and go back the other way. The flip side is those Fibonacci's are drawn down to catch them on the way up. Guys, note here that we've caught them at the 88.6. We've also caught them at the 90% multiple times. Now we've caught them again at the Fibonacci. So, guys, on a no news day like today, I do believe we are going to be very Fibonacci centric. Guys, we're going to be very Fibonacci centric, very pivot centric. Now, something for the NASDAQ traders to keep an eye on, guys, just down there, basically the pre-bottom for today is a 15-minute chart swing trigger long. Oh, sorry, SBR, not swing trigger, static bar reversal. For those of you that do trade, for those that do trade at 3 o'clock, so basically Singapore close, you guys have cruised around at 3 o'clock. You've basically triggered a series of static bar reversals long, and then they've created the lower low just here, filled the long, and then off it's gone to the high side. Just hold on one sec. Okay. So some of you may be long from down the bottom of the NASDAQ. Awesome. Some of you now may be short. Now, the reason being is you bought the market up here. You've failed right on this static bar reversal that I've got the circle on here. If Europe does buy on open, guys, it's going to run up a little bit further. If we don't get caught, guys, call this the Asian high static bar reversal short. If we don't get caught there, guys, and again, I know Steve is going to love this, guys, if the NASDAQ starts closing above that 90% retrace, guys, if we start closing above that, then we've got to be very, very careful about taking that short there, all right? That 90% fib is going to be quite important. Now, that 90% fib, guys, to give you some perspective, it's a pretty large fib. It's a bit of a monster fib. In fact, some would argue very, very happily. Some would argue that that's a 4-hour fib. Let me just double check that. I think it should be a 4-hour fib. All right, so we're going to color it green. Guys, the reason we'll do that is, again, anybody out there in the world might say, Lockie, why is it colored green? And immediately all of you guys know, because you know what you're doing. Again, that is immediately, that is straight off a 4-hour chart. Now, it looks like, just again playing devil's advocate here, we could have another daily Fibonacci on here. There is no question at all. Now, there is going to be a Fibonacci running from this SBR all the way at the top, guys, on Look at that SBR reversal up the top here. Look what it's done. Absolutely incredible. Now, with all that said, we need a Fibonacci to do that. Right? So what I might do, I'm going to end up with... I'm going to end up with a couple of fibs here. I don't mind that. Okay, do we have an orange? G'day, Lorna, how are you? I hope we do have orange. We're not using our orange. All right, so let me have a play here. I'll show you what I'm going to do because I'm not using the monthly fib at this point in time. I'm not using the orange because that's the 100 and we've traded beyond that range. What I'm going to do is I'm going to convert my current blue. Okay, I'm going to convert my current blue to pink. Current blue to pink. So that one is drawn up to catch them on the way down. Okay. What I'm then going to do is grab the current one that we just spoke about. Okay, we've got a 4-hour over there on the right-hand side. So I'm going to load that as a daily. Now, we might be flipping colors tomorrow, but that's okay. The reason being, guys, is if we were to buy, let me just double check. 1, 2, 3. Nah, buyers stole the stair step there. What's the bet? People are running that fib. Aha, look, the moment I do that, hey presto, guess where this climactic candle failed? So I think we've got a bit of a hybrid fib on, guys, for the NASDAQ traders. So naturally drawn down to catch them on the way up. No change there. We'll just look. That is 100% the Fibonacci. Okay, for those that know what I'm doing here. Yeah, for those that know what I'm doing, that is 100% correct. So what does it mean, guys? What does it mean is if at this stage, let's double check our stair step daily chart. So 1, sellers stole the stair step, buy, sell. Sellers still own the stair step. Right, so that means this little red candle in here is actually a really lovely ratio, static bar reversal long. I see if these guys were to buy, so if the NASDAQ was to get a bit of a wriggle on today, guys, nothing wrong with it doing that. If it was to get a bit of a wriggle on and pushes up and fails at this 61.8 fib and that 141.4 monthly, guys, look at that. Very, very similar level on the FDAX today. Look at this through here. Look, kissing, touching, it's all happening right at that Fibonacci. Now, what does it mean? We'll drop down to the 4-hour chart. Well, now, again, when we get down to the 4-hour chart, we start to get into some really awesome spots. Now, I don't know if we've got Steve, guys. Oh, we do have Steve. Steve, I'm seeing a 4-hour swing trigger long. I'm seeing a 4-hour swing. Just as I say that, Steve's come in and said, hey, I think there's a 4-hour long sitting up. I have a sneaking suspicion. Mathematically, 629, right? Mathematically, 629. 629. Oh, fancy that. It's the Asian high. All right. So what we're going to get here, guys, what we're going to get up the top here, please excuse my, that is definitely not the button I was looking to press. Okay, right. So we cannot forget, guys. Steve, you're awesome. So, guys, Asian high is a 4-hour, okay, 4-hour swing trigger long. Now, what does that ultimately mean, guys? What does that ultimately mean? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We are going to bring a Fibonacci down to catch them on the way up. Guys, the ultimate tolerance is going to be this 90 green, and then we're going to get these two little guys here. So if we close above the 90 green, guys, we close above the pre-top, may I suggest they're probably going to try and trigger that 4-hour swing trigger. Okay, now, again, if they do that, what's our time? Time is looking pretty good. Oh, the Fibonacci's huge. Holy moly, the Fibonacci's huge. Okay, now, I think we need to be a little bit more accurate here. Fibonacci's a monster. Now, we don't mind that. We don't mind that. Hello. 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 All right. We want to go to 23745. Let me just have a look. What's Steve saying? Well, definitely 16.4 sideways, but there is a fair chance. For those on YouTube, guys, we've obviously got quite a few people in the LTR, so I'm just reading what they're saying for those people that can't see what's going on. Now, if you are on YouTube, guys, guys, for those in the LTR, we're doing probably 30 to 35 minutes or so on YouTube today, and then we'll turn it off for Q&A and the turn of the hour and all those other trades. Now, some of those YouTube views, or some of those YouTube videos, these little lives that we're doing, just to keep you up to date. The top performing one at the moment, sitting at well over 700 views. Well over 700, guys. So again, there is a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest out there in the world as to what we do, which is exciting. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion, guys, I'm going to do something a little bit cool with this little Fibonacci here. Again, it's all about stair step. I have a sneaking. Oh, hello. Did everybody see what I just did with the Fibonacci? All right. So what I bought, I've just brought it down to a clear stair step, right? Because I want to know what they're doing here. And have a look at this. All right, have a look at that. So what does it mean, guys? What does it mean? That's incredibly accurate. Look at this. All right. So therefore, I'm going to modify my daily fib, guys. It's going to look like it does. Effectively for the NASI traders, guys, if we push back up here, so if this 4-hour swing trigger occurs, we run up here, we hit these Fibonacci's, and we fail, guys, then we're going to come down really, really quite aggressively. If we get above that 76 fib, as ideally, we are looking to try and trade up here. Okay, so again, we are potentially. Oops, that's not what I wanted. We are potentially, are you going to, oh no, that's not going to work for me. Let me use an arrow. As we are potentially, let me switch this around, going all the way up here. So target price, Steve, what's your target price? My target price is 23746. Guys, I like that. Okay, I like that as like a first port of call. But we do have to, guys, again, kind of agree, there's going to be people running a Fibonacci like this. And they're going to want to try and trade it all the way up here. Yeah, 966. Yeah. So we've got basically two target zones, guys. So if we pick up a really good long today and you don't mind holding a long, guys, so 23950. 23950 for the NASDAQ traders will be really good. All right, so we'll keep a very close eye on that. Okay. 60-minute chart, just slowly but surely just breaking it down. Sellers own the stair step buying base reversals. Yeah, if we, wow. As if we can get for the NASI traders and SP 500, if we can get back above that green 90% Fibonacci there at 23622, then it's basically clear sailing, guys, clear sailing all the way up to the Fibonacci's we've spoken about already. All right. Now, as we bop along, again, like normal, guys, fair bit of Fibonacci on the chart when we first get going. We'll learn pretty quickly which ones they're ultimately going to be using. Guys, now for the super keen NASDAQers, right, there is going to be a Fibonacci that is drawn from this high here down to that low there. There will be a tighter Fibonacci. Let me just clean this up a bit. We will be able to strip that chart back a little bit, guys, once we get started. Okay, now down to the big traders down the bottom here. As a lot of people don't realize, the FESX is actually the biggest market in the world on European Open. Again, it's bar none, guys, just based on volume alone. Some of the Forex traders out there will say currency markets are big, but if you do a direct comparison, it's very, very different. So S&P, guys, volume at this stage, 28,000. So volume is 28,000. So you're slowly edging towards 29,000. So it's going to be a low volume, low volatility start, guys, compared to yesterday. As FESX has got gaps to close over 2 days. All right, so just to quantify that, guys, we have a gap close here. We also have a gap close there. They literally went within a point. As on the FDAX, it looks like they might have tried to do a technical close here on the FDAX. Sorry, let me just double check. No. Locky. The gap, guys, they opened here and fell. Right, the gap's all the way up here. So we've got to close this gap here, and we've also got to close this gap here. Now, mathematically, as we've said many, many times, mathematically, the gaps must be closed. That does not mean, though, you become a gap trader, which is simply you just push buy and hope they go up, guys, because they could go down a long way first before they go back the other way. Now, on the 240 chart, guys, our enemy will always be SBRs on the 4-hour chart. At this point in time, very aggressive sell down. So this is, look at this. This is literally a couple of days ago, and then 2 days ago, then yesterday. Absolutely brilliant. These guys are very angry, as we said yesterday when we came into the session. What it ultimately means is very, very similar to the FDAX traders from yesterday. If you want to be really, really careful, you're going to be waiting for the first 15 or 20 minutes to go through before you say, righto, I now know what the institutional traders are thinking. At this stage, as the 5-minute FDAX chart, as I look out of my right-hand, another screen, they are very, very confused. So what we'll do, guys, we'll wait for that opening candle to basically define the trading range of some of the earlier institutional traders, and then we might look to pity back off the back of what they're doing. Now, down to the 60-minute chart, guys, which will be quite telling. Okay, on the 60-minute chart, we're basically running through this Fibonacci extension absolutely perfectly. As you'll note, your Fibonacci is correct if they start literally doing like they did here yesterday. So cruising off that 161.8. What I'd love to see today, guys, if the FESX was to sell down really nicely and get strangled around that 161.8, don't forget these beautiful, guys, that little 14 rated candle there on the FESX is absolutely stunning. So if we do sell down, get below that and fail badly, guys, there's a couple of really powerful little longs that are setting up. It will look a little crowded, guys, it will look a little bit crowded, but FESX does need a Fibonacci that looks like this. So what we'll do is we'll give it a purple, guys. We'll give it a purple, just it's a little bit easier, guys, a little bit easier on the eyes. So you don't have that sort of heavy color contrast between. And just like yesterday, guys, just remember the FDAX kind of decided it wanted to reverse around that 35-minute mark, guys. So again, don't be shy. If you're not 100% confident with what the market's doing, guys, don't pull the trigger until you're ready to rock and roll. I'll guide you through that as we can. We know about the gaps to close. Guys, the FDAX has got a very, very strong SBR long, guys. The NASDAQ and S&P have got SBRs, but they're not as long as they're not as strong. It's not as strong as the FDAX. Okay, now for those that are watching the FESX, 5422, guys, 5422 is a very, very strong long. FESX is something to definitely keep an eye on, guys, as I go through my little checklist here. Note that the FESX has already closed its gap in the price movement today. The FDAX has not. Right? So when the FESX does this, we're normally in for quite a volatile session. It normally moves very, very fast. Guys, so just remember that even though we've got low volume, low volatility, these guys could come in. Guys could come in with a really aggressive opening candle. Now, one thing going on in the world, just want to update you. There's no European news today. There was some positive Aussie news today, guys, about the inflation rate, I believe, was positive. Clearly not good if you're buying stuff in Australia, because apparently inflation is going up. Okay, that means that, again, that second interest rate cut, probably likely in November, highly likely in December. One thing I do want to mention very quickly, the Fed Reserve, they're getting very, very angry about Donald Trump moving chess pieces around on the Federal Reserve. I just want to highlight for everybody, guys, the US Federal Reserve is a hybrid organization, okay? Just so you know, the Board of Governors, so that's the people that are getting in trouble at this point in time. Guys, the Board of Governors are federal employees of a federal agency. Therefore, they can be sacked by the president if he chooses to. Where it gets a little bit murky, guys, is the 12 regional Federal Reserve banks in the US. So the 12 regional Federal Reserve, who are all private banks that are privately owned, are the shareholders of the actual Federal Reserve itself. So the Federal Reserve, as for all intensive purposes in the US, is a privately owned organization. They're starting to get a little bit upset that Donald Trump is basically wading into their fishbowl. And they don't like it. They don't like it. Now, why is this important? It's important because we had a massive crash in 2018, guys, around about sort of the 15th or 16th of October. there was an enormous crash, guys, on the NASDAQ and the SP 500 because the Federal Reserve deliberately contradicted Trump in a press conference. If they get upset enough at Mr. Trump, they're probably going to do the same thing again, right? So just keep your ear to the wall on that one. Yes, Cam, there's some very interesting things that I can't talk about in the live trading room. Suffice to say, guys, a lot of people think the Federal Reserve in the US is a federally owned asset. It's not federally owned by the US people. It's owned by 12 private banks, and those private banks are owned by whoever owns private banks. So just be a little bit aware of that. So, and the reason I mention it, guys, the reason I mention it is we're getting to the point where someone's going to get really angry and they're going to say something. Last time they did that, I think the NASDAQ fell. The S&P went down 600 points. So I think the NASDAQ was down like 3,500 or 4,000 ticks. It was a big one, right? So if we see some ridiculous move in the next couple of days going, wow, what the hell caused that? Diane, it took about 6 weeks to 8 weeks to recover the fall. Yeah, it took a lot. So guys, FDAX, very, very quickly. Guys, there's our 133 fib extension from yesterday. So again, I put a comment here, guys. Here we go again. The cycle just keeps repeating. So we're going to watch that orange 133 extension very carefully. At this point in time, guys, the FDAX is very, very congested. Beautiful sell down, basically matched the buy, sold down again, and we can't basically go anywhere. 226, guys, some key levels for you guys today. 226 is an absolutely amazing 15-minute long if these guys sell down and open and fail. 223 is an old 60-minute long. So if they do sell down, guys, fail early, turn around and come back the other way. It's going to be quite good fun. 24197, guys, very, very strong 60-minute SBR down the bottom of the FDAX. Okay, very, very strong. So now you can see how congested this market is, guys, compared to what we had yesterday. So again, let's be careful, guys. Let's be careful as we cruise into the open. I will expand these candles out, guys. Just make sure we're as clear as we can be. We will be stripping the charts of detail, guys. I don't want this to look complicated because it's not. As once we know the direction these guys are heading, we should be in a good place. Excuse me. All right, so 1 minute, guys and girls, 1 minute till the gun goes. At this point in time, the NASDAQ is cruising back down into 15-minute territory. FDAX. Now that Fibonacci, guys, if we break beyond that Fibonacci retracement, if we do go beyond it, guys, if we do go beyond that, then I'll be able to adjust that Fibonacci accordingly. Guys, I'm just going to grab some microphones as we roll into the open. Andy, you're good to go. Damsey's good to go. Guys, a number of people still away. If we've got young Beck, Beck, as always, if you want your mic, please jump on us. Now we'll get ready, guys, to do the normal drill again for the FDAX traders. Be very, very careful of the opening candle. Guys, be very careful of the opening candle. And again, guys, don't be smoked in by the volatility today. These guys could go absolutely banshee on open. And if so, we have to be very, very aware. Right, so let them just come in and do what they do. At this stage, the FESX is highly likely to target the 50 fib of the day as inside the cash market, which it hasn't done yet. Okay, FDAX, guys, we still don't have extreme volume on the opening candle. Okay, now if you don't wait for that, okay, now we have extreme volume. So if you don't wait for that, guys, I've missed my entry on my trade. So hold on one sec, we'll just move some stuff around here. Now, just be super careful, guys. This is what we're expecting them to do. They're going banshee on open. So just let them, guys, just let them go. Just let them go. That Fibonacci is just big enough. Again, guys, there is a previous pivot reversal. there is a pre-bottom reversal. Guys, we've just got to be careful. Just got to be careful that we have definitely picked the low point. Okay, the sellers haven't quite got near that 133 fib extension yet. So again, for those that do trade the opening candle, guys, if you trade the opening candle, it looks like the Fibonacci has just held on to them. Guys, it just looks like the Fibonacci's just held on. Now, if you are a pre-bottom trader, guys, just remember the volatility is pretty tight today. Okay, volatility is very, very tight. Don't expect long-range targets, guys, at the open. Okay, so don't expect long-range targets at the open. Now, again, Breezy, how are you? Hope you're fantastic. For those that are off the pre-bottom, guys, at 0.9, your first target, guys, is 14. Your first target is 14. Now, if you don't trade the opening candle, guys, of FDAX, please do not let me romance you into taking a trade. Guys, on that one, my first target has been taken out, guys, and my ATM has been triggered on my first target's taken out, guys, and my ATM has been triggered on my long-range targets. So that is not a big trade, guys. That is not a big trade, but it is still a profitable trade. Andy, well done. I was actually going to reduce my long-range targets down to 5. So, because the volatility is so low. Yeah, volatility is really low, guys. So if you're long off the pre-bottom, guys, if you're long off the pre-bottom or the previous pivot, as a 5-point first target on FDAX, really, really good fun. They've just literally run without me, but that's okay. Guys, that's what my ATM is designed to do, guys, and it's managed the trade really, really well for us. All right, so FDAX traders, we waited for the climactic candle. We waited for them to stamp their authority on the stair step. You might have gone long, guys, over the top of the pre-bottom or the previous pivot. If you have, everybody has made money on that trade, and there's potentially 2 entries there, and they've gone potentially 2 entries, and they've gone quite well. Okay, so depending on how you trade, let me just double check all of this is working. It is working perfectly. Okay, good. So just double checking, guys, my trade copier is working correctly. So that trade's been picked up on all 4 accounts simultaneously. And that is a move in the right direction. Not a very sexy move, guys, because my long-range targets got taken out, as in their ATM got taken out, but that's okay. That's what the ATM is there for. All right, last 90 seconds. Yeah, MJ, you've got the best trade of the day so far, 20-pointer. That's a stunning trade. Now, you might have got him 1 point better than I did, and as a result, my ATM clipped me, whereas yours ATM didn't clip you. So, so that's right, guys. Everybody's positive. Ron, how are you, mate? Hope you're fantastic. All right, now at this stage, guys, we are looking for the S&P. So S&P traders, you guys have actually come back down on a climactic candle. You've picked up the static bar reversal, guys, this little bank of SBRs that I was talking about earlier. You've picked those up. If you are long, guys, if you are long on the S&P, well done. NASDAQers, you may have picked up this static bar reversal over there on the left-hand side. As if you have, your volatility would suggest a 10 to 15 tick risk control point up to a 50 tick target, and we're going to try and hold on to it as long as we can. All right, we're going to try and hold on to it as long as we possibly can. Now, for the FDAX at this stage, guys, I'm not going to send you short. All right, now technically you've got a reversal short off the open. What I don't want to do is trade back into the middle of the NDI. Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, I don't want to do that. So what are we doing? Guys, at this stage, we're waiting for some clear air. For the, let me just adjust. I'm just going to adjust one thing, guys. Just going to adjust one thing on this chart. Okay, I'm just going to drop that Fibonacci to there. Is that of any benefit to us whatsoever? We don't do that to me, please. Is that of any benefit to us? Let me just double check. Yes, it is. Okay, great. All right. So, guys, technically, buyers on the stair step on FDAX, there is a short sitting up under the open here. I'm not a massive fan of sending you short into the middle of the MDI. For the S&P traders who are long on the SBRs we identified, guys, or that 15-minute chart SBR long, guys, your volatility is low. So a 4-tick first target, 8-tick second target would be really smart. FDAX is going to make me look like a clown for not sending you short. I could have been a little bit more aggressive on that one. Let me just get rid of that and we'll start to clean up these Fibonacci's. So at the moment, guys, buyers on the stair step on FDAX, that's actually a climactic reversal short. Geez, well done. It's a climactic reversal short. Once we got a higher high, as if I did get my Fibonacci, if I did draw my Fibonacci like this, guys, and I caught them at the 76 fib, I could have actually said, you know what, that's okay. So I probably should have been a little bit more aggressive on that one for the FDAX traders. Now, mind you, I don't like trading into the middle of the MDI, but if we've got Fibonacci's and very obvious failure, then it might not actually be too bad. So my bad on that one. For the DAX traders, you guys have got off to a reasonable start. I'll just give us one circle, guys, pre-bottom, even though a number of you traded off the previous pivot as well. Okay. Now, at this stage, we'll just tread as carefully as we can. G'day, Justin. How are you? Yes, I am, mate. Are you trading copy accounts, personal funds, or prop firm? Oh, great question. So, Justin, I am trading 100% prop accounts, so 100%. When the prop trading stuff became available, I pulled all of my personal funds out, Justin, because they were in my personal name. I switched those personal funds to company names for obvious tax reasons. And at this point in time, I'm trading on behalf of companies. I'm not trading on behalf of me personally. And I'm doing that solely for tax reasons. Right? More than happy to have a chat with anybody, guys, about why I'm doing that. Suffice to say, it ends up being a lot more friendly if you don't trade in your personal name. So yeah, Justin, once the funding became available, it's an absolute no-brainer. I mean, you can pull all of the cash out of your futures, you can roll it into other asset classes. You can do a whole lot of cool stuff with your own cash because you don't need your own cash in anything in your futures accounts anymore if you choose to. So yeah, so that's I'm using that trade copier at the moment. It's proving to be very, very good. I'm assessing another trade copier at this stage as well. And so far it's going very, very well. Guys, as you know, I'm going to be switching up to, at the moment, I'm 4 accounts. I'll switch to 8 accounts at the end of the month. So I'm just slowly sort of working out what we can and can't do, and what works well and what doesn't work well. So I'm just working on that at the moment. And so far it's going okay, Justin. Couple of issues, but it's going okay. All right, so anyone long on the S&P 500? You're looking at 4s and 8s. You're looking at 4s and 8s as your initial target, and then basically whatever you can get your hands on. Do I have any NASDAQ traders, guys, who are long? Guys, off the static bar reversal we nominated in the pre-market just here, or the 15-minute chart. Remy, well done. That's beautiful. Keith, well done. Keith, you want to try and hold the NASDAQ long. So as per the brief, guys, you want to try and hold the NASDAQ long probably to these 76s as the absolute minimum. As an absolute minimum. Interesting point. As agreeing with Steve, as if we get above these key Fibonacci levels, particularly that green one, guys, or that green one right there, these guys could go absolutely nuts. They could literally go a very long way. So my preference, guys, is to try and pick up long range longs, because that would be amazing. Okay, long range longs. Now the fact that in fact for the S&P traders, guys, even more fun. You guys have faked out towards the Asian low. That is a valid long, guys, on the NASDAQ. You're going to have to use relatively tight risk control, guys, with long range targets. All right, so that 3 rated candle there, guys, on the NASDAQ. Okay, you would need to have a tight risk control point on that. Right, so tight risk control point. Those that are long, guys, from down the bottom, you guys are obviously in a really, really good position. What you've got to be careful of on the NASDAQ is the S&P 500 is pushing back towards, effectively where it failed before, which is over here. If the NASDAQ is going to go, say, way over 16, 17, 18 ticks, guys, if we're going to go way over that, then we need to get through this resistance here on the S&P 500. Okay, so we'll just keep that arrow there for the S&P traders. So NASI, guys, it is a valid long. The deal is you have to have very, very tight risk control. Your volatility is 27. As your volatility is 27, which is very, very low for the NASDAQ. So Keith, you've got 11.21.32. Well done. Ken, you don't like the volume? No, I can see that. So for NASI traders, volume has just dropped into the low 300s. Yesterday, we were up in the 7s and 800s. So that's a very, very different. It's a very, very different game indeed. It's a very different game. For the FDAX traders, cool, mate. Cool. For the FDAX traders, at the moment, your buyers on the stair step. All right, buyers on the stair step. To pick up a really good signal on the FDAX, we would really need these guys to get away from the trend indicator and away from the 50 of the day. I note that the FESX has basically just tried to get above its gap and it's open, and that's actually not going very well for it. Nice, it's not going very well for it. All right, so let's just see. All right, let's just see what we can fish out of today. If the volume drops significantly, as right across the board, then we're going to have to go into very, very careful trading mode. If the volume drops well below 300 on NASDAQ, we'll have to be careful. Now, FDAXs at this point in time, as buyers on the step, so we're not going to take the pre-market reversal long. As this could be a really dangerous candle here, guys, on the FESX. This could end up being a 4-point turning bar short, and if it is, everybody's going to get dragged. Right? Excuse me. All right, so let's keep an eye on what these guys are up to. Okay. Let's have a look. Now, the first sort of 15 or so minutes will allow for all of the additional pivots to be set. What we're ultimately looking for is if we were to get a long on the FDAX, if we were to get a long, which is about 1 minute and 4 seconds away, we would ultimately be looking for these guys to close over the top of the pre-bottom, then sell down, try and push down towards the OSR, which ironically happens to be, hey presto, this exact level we identified before. It's a very strong 60-minute long. So if we do get below that point, we are going to see some selling. I will have to adjust my fibs if we do get below that point. So everyone's sitting on their hands at this point in time. Everyone's sitting on their hands. We'll just get some guidance as to what they are hoping to do. Now, that little SBR there on the NASDAQ is actually mathematically very, very good. We didn't get as high as we did before. So with low volume, guys, low volatility, we could be basically range trading. So up, down, up, down, up, down. So we'll just look for really, really high probability entries. FDAX, your volatility is dropping. Nice, volatility is dropping. So therefore, we're going to have to definitely fixate on 5-point targets. As for the junior traders, a little bit more for the slightly more senior traders. At this stage, I'm looking for, I'm going to be really strict on us today. I'm looking for a lower low here as on the FDAX. FESX has given us what could have been a 4-point turning bar long, guys, could have been an amazing short, and we didn't get it. Right. So that does mean there are some people out there in the world that want to potentially hold Europe up. My 4-hour Fibonacci there, I'm going to get rid of the longer range 4-hour fib. I've got a short range 4-hour fib on, as we know how much the FDAX loves the 50 fib on the 4-hour chart. That is just below where we are at the moment. Guys, I have no new trades on the FDAX at this stage. I've got no new trades right across the board. For those that did trade, so I believe Keith got it, a couple of people got it, guys. If you did trade that 15-minute long or those previous SBRs as briefed in the pre-market, we've actually gone okay. What we would need to do, guys, at this point in time, what I need to do, let me get rid of let me get rid of this fib. Strip it back the other way. At this stage, I would suggest, as for the NASDAQ traders, we are waiting for, we would wait for 1, 2, 3. We'd wait for lower lows. I just wait for big lower lows, wait for these guys to basically try and claim the stair step, fail at Fibonacci. We'll see if we get a volume lift, and then we would be looking to potentially pick up a long. With a volatility of 28, so 28 over there on the left-hand side, you're looking at about an 8, basically an 8-tick risk control point. So your risk control point on NASDAQ is very, very tight. Yes, Mark, 100% correct. If we drop below, and if we drop below the Asian low, which is here, if we drop below the Asian low and we struggle at that green Fibonacci, which is just down the bottom there, then 100% we're going to be looking to pick up longs. 100% correct. Now, guys, I've only picked up one trade so far. I was actually going to reduce my target, guys, from 25 down to 5. As it turns out, I got ATM'd at +2. Again, I believe, guys, I got an entry at 210. If I got in at 209, which is the actual entry point, my ATM would have triggered, but then it would have sailed to profit. So I've been a little bit unlucky with my entry point there, but that's okay. That's right. We're positive right across the board. Now, sellers now own the stair step again, guys, on the FDAX. Just be aware, guys, we're not going to go long off the lower OSR. Okay, so we're not going long off the lower OSR. We are, at this stage, guys, keeping a very close eye on the FESX. If the FDAX gives us an efficient, that Fibonacci's got to go, guys. If the FDAX gives us an efficient CORPC bar, it closes below the lower OSR. Right? So if it is a nice efficient candle, that is highly unlikely at this stage. But if it is, guys, and the FESX gives us a really, really strong selling candle, guys, we're going to be looking to go down. Now, a lot can happen, guys, in 60 seconds for us. If we do close outside the range of the OSR, guys, so you can see it hiding right there, which happens to be the same 60-minute chart SBR long. If we close below that, guys, an inefficient candle, then we're not doing anything on the FDAX for 5 minutes. Guys, I'm just trying to make the explanation as clear as I possibly can for everybody. Okay, now let these guys just do what they're doing. Okay. Now that could, guys, this could morph into an efficient candle on, oh, look at this. Here we go, right across the board. Okay. What it ultimately means is what it ultimately means for the S&P 500 traders is just watch very carefully here, guys. All right. If we get big efficient candles closing on both American markets simultaneously, if we get both of those closing, okay, FDAX, if the green team comes in and then sells down, if the green team comes in and then sells down, you do not have a trade, right? If the FESX is into the pre-bottom. So you guys are now sitting on your hands. For the NASDAQ, guys, if we got the buyers retracing back, must be a structured retrace, must be a structured rejection. Those must be structured retrace, must be structured rejection. Let me just add a Fibonacci on for you. That's an inefficient candle, guys. We're not going short. Okay, we're not going short on NASDAQ. S&P's into basically a soft pivot. So we can't go short. Dearie me, we cannot go short on NASDAQ. We cannot go short on the S&P. We cannot go short on the FDAX. So that means that around the 30-minute mark, guys, the 30-minute mark, we may be looking for a long as on the European markets, right? So it looks like they're doing a very, very similar game to yesterday. As very similar game. Yeah. Okay, so these guys, and again, guys, as Steve was saying, as if we don't close above these key Fibonacci levels, right, so 15-minute fib coming in. If we don't close above those levels, guys, whoops. If we don't close above those levels, we could see a bit of a drop. I could see a little bit of a drop. And basically a drop, a lower low, and then we basically come back the other way. Now, at this stage, guys, for the Nasdaq, I've got you guys gapping under the 15-minute chart fibs. Right, so I'd suggest at this stage, we're going to be really careful. Guys, we can't send you short. We can only send you long. I think we're waiting for the static bar trade. Excuse me. We're waiting for a static bar trade. Now, the OSR traders on FDAX, guys, you've got an efficient candle. Now, I said don't go short because of the FESX. If you don't use the FESX as a filter, then you would already be through your first target. Guys, if the FESX closes underneath its OSR, these markets are going to absolutely tumble. Guys, absolutely tumble to the downside. Now, all that means, guys, if they start tumbling, if they start panicking and tumbling, the Delta V2s, the red diamond deltas, guys, are valid trades, like that one that's just come on the screen on the NASDAQ now. If you are a Delta trader, guys, if you are a Delta trader, the Deltas are valid. We've just got to be careful how much volume the sellers are using at the moment, guys. The sellers are using a lot of volume trying to push this NASDAQ down. Now, you have got a Delta, guys, on the screen there. There is no question about that. We've just got to be careful, guys, that the sellers don't use too much volume. Okay, the higher Delta, when the volume was lower, is obviously more fun. The lower Delta, guys, you're only looking for a 10-tick target. So what does that mean? You're looking, if you are short on the Delta, guys, and you don't mind the volume, you're looking for a target of 582.50. I would prefer we get a Delta earlier in the candle, guys, with lower volume and get a more powerful response. Right, now we've got both American markets. Guys, both American markets are strong. There is no question about that. If you are on the Delta, guys, on NASDAQ, guys, your target is 582.50. Right? If you are on that Delta, guys, if you trade Deltas in the first 90 or so seconds of the candle, which is a lot more popular, you're not on that Delta. You're waiting just to see if this candle turns efficient or not. At this stage, based on the volume, guys, it's not going to be efficient for the NASDAQ traders. S&P is traveling down into pretty key territory here. Guys, that Fibonacci is going to have to be turned up the other way. Right, so that Fibonacci is now going to turn around and look like this on the 60-minute chart. Okay, that is, sorry, 4-hour chart. That is of no assistance to us whatsoever. If you're short on that NASDAQ Delta, guys, mathematically, it is there. That's of absolutely no use to us, that Fibonacci. These guys have got a long way to fall. Guys, a long way to fall. If that is an efficient candle, guys, on the FDAX, if it is an efficient candle, then you're looking for green before red. Guys, if you are short on the Delta, you've obviously gone through your profit target on NASDAQ. Guys, I'm just trying to get an idea of where these guys are going. Guys, we are likely to fall further. Guys, we are likely to fall further. If you are on these Deltas, guys, on NASDAQ, they've obviously gone through their targets. Okay, there's no doubt about that. For the S&P, that Fibonacci, there's got to be a better fib than that. All right, so we're gonna muck around, guys, with the fibs for a second, just to find out what the institutional traders are going to be thinking. For the FDAX, just be advised, the FESX has just hit its 150 OSR. It's 150 OSR extension. There's a very interesting spot for these guys to be reversing down here, guys, on the FESX. So I would suggest if we get a definite static bar reversal down here, we'd be looking for a long, very, very similar style to yesterday, guys, similar style to yesterday, where we're just waiting for these guys to definitely stop selling, and then we're looking at buying. Mark, you've got a better fib on the S&P 60-minute chart. It could be that purple one, right? Is that pretty well on the money? It could be that purple fib. If that is the case, guys, anybody that's short on the NASDAQ on either one of the deltas, guys, if you're short on the deltas, well done. Perfect, mate. Thank you. Again, guys, so if you're short on the deltas, well done on NASDAQ. If you're waiting for a static entry, guys, we're just waiting for both of these 30-minute charts to close. Let me just have a look where the 30s are. This is going to be a very strong 30-minute close on the S&P 500. So interesting, guys. See what these buyers have done on the S&P. They've actually cruised back up. They've picked up that 30-minute chart static bar reversal short, cruised back up, picked up the short, and then just hammered to the downside. Which is, again, I'm excited by that because they're doing exactly what we thought they would. We just need to make sure that we can jump on, guys, and pick up a profitable trade. Now, FDAX, guys, the efficient candle, I did tell you to not go short. As it turns out, they're bolted. So that's I do apologize for that, but normally we wouldn't trade the FDAX short if the FESX is into multiple pivots, which it was at the time. Right, so just got to be a little bit careful with that one. All right, so at this stage, guys, if you are short on the NASDAQ, we're basically just letting it go until we get a valid reversal. We're looking for that reversal on both American markets simultaneously. That would be amazing. I'll put a Fibonacci extension on the S&P just to get an idea of what others might be thinking. Look at that, 161.8 fib extension failure. Okay, absolutely perfect failure point for the S&P. So again, guys, back to what we're doing. We're looking for both of these markets to fail simultaneously. S&P is going to give us, guys, S&P will give us a 15-minute chart climactic reversal, but we don't have 5-minute chart agreement just yet. Europeans, right? These guys have pushed back to the lower OSR, got rejected very heavily. It's very, very heavily. So DAXy traders, we've had a reasonable start. All right, had a reasonable start. Some of you had a brilliant start to the session. I do believe probably 35, 40 minutes in, guys, we're probably going to turn this market and send it back the other way. Nazi traders, if you are short, guys, if you are short, so what have we done for the Nazi traders? You may have picked up the pre-market static bar reversal long, guys, which was brilliant. We've then basically picked up a long that didn't go anywhere near its target, but went through its risk control point. And then we've picked up the deltas. Was these two deltas here, of which the later delta went through its target. So we're okay at this stage, but I do think we're probably in for a relatively big move as once Europe decides what it's doing. Thank you, Mark. So you got a 15-minute chart, 141. Okay, well, let me just go. Oh, that's a very, very nice rejection there, guys, on the NASDAQ. Okay, that's a very nice rejection. So for the Nazi traders, as we might be getting a ratio-based static bar reversal long. Let's just keep a very close eye on it. Guys, let's keep a very close eye on it. What have we got? 15 seconds. I would need, that's a profit target. We'll get rid of that. I would need the NASDAQ, guys, I would need the NASDAQ to sell down first, get caught at Fibonacci, and then come back the other way. So we're going to be very, very picky on this one. Right? Very, very picky. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little Fibonacci on for you there. At this stage, FDAX, it is a valid static bar reversal long, guys, if you can hold the risk. Guys, if you can hold the risk, it is a valid SBR long, guys, with your first target at 181. The risk is a little bit crazy, though. All right, the risk is a little bit crazy for the FDAX traders, unless you trade off the body of the SBR. Juice has done that, guys, obviously gone straight through his FDAX 10-point target, which is a fantastic trade. I mean, absolutely massive, well done. Okay, massive, well done. For those that are going to trade, guys, the static bar reversal, just watch your risk. Your entry's at 76, your first target's 81. For the NASDAQ, As for the NASDAQ, we do have a sell down to a Fibonacci. There is no question about that. Let me just have a look. Okay, there's no counter Fibonacci against your trade. So the long and short of the NASDAQ, guys, the SBR is valid. You've got a tight risk control point. So if you're going to go long, guys, on the static bar reversal, if you're going to go long, you must have a 10-tick risk control point. You can look for long range targets. Guys, we've just got to be careful on the NASDAQ about the risk we're carrying and the fact that we need the S&P 500 to agree. I'll just give you an estimation as to what I would suggest we do. So again, now some of you use the body entry, guys, on the static bar reversals. If you've done that, then that's great. You're going to be using ultimately the top of the box as the risk control point. If I was being very careful on NASDAQ today, guys, I would need the buyers to push through inside the next sort of 60 to 70 seconds. Well done. SBR long, guys, on FDAX has obviously gone straight through its targets for those that trade the SBR. It's way beyond its target, so well done. NASDAQ, guys, I'm looking for, again, at this stage, I'm looking for the buyers to move through. Okay, so my entry is 86.75. Is my risk control point. Guys, let me just make sure that box is correct. I'm looking for a 9 to 10 tick risk control point, guys, on the NASDAQ, just to make sure we know we're on the right side of the market. So if you are long on NASDAQ, you need the top of that box like literally smashed inside the next sort of 60 or so seconds. Right, S&P is slowly trying to support us on this one. Slowly trying to support us. What we don't want is to hold on to this NASDAQ if they don't go through. Right, we're through the top of the box. Guys, big well done. Please control your risk on the NASDAQ. Guys, you can go for a moderate range NASDAQ target, please, but no one has any risk on this trade. Right, no one has any risk on the trade. It's a ratio-based SBR with a 23 rating. Guys, you waited for the retrace and rejection. The ultimate sign of discipline. Guys, so big well done. That purple Fibonacci can go back to the 5-minute chart. That black diamond delta, guys, is a sign we're going to go further, but I wouldn't trade the black diamond delta into the 240 low. All I would do is try and maximize the profit on my long. Ken, well done. Well done, Mark. Well done, Jürgen. Nice work. MJ, massive trade on FDAX. Well done again. I think you're getting very, very good at the FDAX. Suzanne, that's your ratio-based SBR. Okay, ratio-based SBR with FESX agreement. So that's it. Yeah. Suzanne's like, yeah, I got this sorted. I know what I'm doing. So well done. Nice, well done, well done. So Nazi traders, again, guys, we've traded very, very carefully. The black diamond deltas would suggest we are going to go further, but I'm not putting you in a scale-in entry, guys, because we don't know yet if the NASDAQ is going to turn. Right, now that one's gone over 20 ticks, guys. PVI is 46. So again, a half PVI target. Very smart. A quarter PVI risk control point. It's done everything that it's required to do, which is absolutely perfect. So FDAX, guys, for those that did go for a 20-point target, for those on YouTube, an FDAX 20-point target, I'll draw the box on for you. Okay, an FDAX 20-point target is around 800 800 Aussie dollars. Right. Okay, so that looks like that. Okay, so they've gone quite happily through the target. As the flip side of going through the target, NASDAQ, they've gone through a $100 target, so around about a 20-tick target. Okay, now for the Nazi, guys, that is for the Nazi FDAX, that is a 4-point turning bar long. Guys, I would need some sellers to show. Guys, I need some sellers to show on the FDAX just to try and give you a safe entry. Guys, come on. All right, let me just get rid of that box. So I would love, guys, I would love the sellers to show. I'd love the sellers to show on FDAX just so we've got a nice retracement point, just so we can enter with slightly less risk. Whereas these guys are probably going to trade back to the gap 50. All right, so FDAX says we still haven't closed the gap. right? I'm expecting a sell down here. In fact, guess what? They've just gone to the gap 50. So that's exactly why they're stalling. Okay, perfect. So we know exactly what they're thinking. Again, guys, for the FDAX, if we were to get a really nice sell down, it would be amazing if we got below. It would be amazing if we got below that static bar reversal to try and pick it up again. I don't think they're going to allow us to do that. No, they're not. Right? They're absolutely hell bent on. Let's just wait and see. They might actually give us a chance. So NASDAQ traders, you've gone through your 20-tick target. We'll move the 10-tick risk control box. Well done. We're not trading the deltas as discussed. So we are at this stage, guys, we're again just watching the Europeans. Obviously, the Europeans, the Americans, guys, hypersensitive to the Europeans like they were yesterday. So same drill as we'll trade as carefully as we possibly can. Let's trade as carefully as we can. Nazi, you guys are looking at up to 3 trades. S&P, you're looking at 1, maybe 2. Most 1, maybe 2 trades. This is the first one we spoke about. And then some of you obviously created the stair step short, which is fantastic. And FDAX at this stage, you're looking at 2 to 3 trades, as everyone's gone a profit so far, which is really exciting. So YouTube, if you don't mind, guys, around about 30, 35 minutes, as I'm going to love you and leave you in YouTube, as I've got to switch my focus back to the live trading room. So those in the live trading room, guys, we'll just do our normal drill. I think at this stage, we're looking for the 45-minute turn, and then probably the hour turn. FDAX traders who are an aggressive trader, I personally, that delta there, 188. I would love to see a bit more of a rugged sell down, and then I'm looking to try and pick it up at 188. If you've already gone long at 188, guys, on FDAX, if you've already gone long at 188, your first target's hit already. So I'm a little bit late on that one. So YouTube, guys, I have to love you and leave you. I hope that you've learned a little bit about what we do. Flip side, if you want to join the LTR, simply just get in contact with Samurai. Right, now, for those in the live trading room, guys, I've got to stop your projection quickly. So just hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to stop your share. Okay, I'll continue to talk to you as we literally